Okay, you ready?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, dear listeners. This is episode 94 of the Devon Dice podcast, recorded on the 12th of February, 2023. In this podcast, we are doing our top 3 games from 2013 and 2018. I'm your host, Joel Wright, of this podcast, and joining me is only Nick Shaw, the podcast resident game designer.
Good evening, folks.
Yeah, that's it. The others can't be bothered.
Quiet time today. Yeah, Sam once again double booked himself.
And Lewis is gallivanting around France somewhere with his family. So, yeah, Odie just found that out. But anyway, so we're just going to crack on with this podcast and see how it goes.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, starting off as usual with the news. Stonemaiere Games has dropped one of the biggest bombshells I don't think anyone expected, and announced a new expansion this month. So in a Champions newsletter, if you're part of the Champions system for Stonemaiere Games, he does a preview of the year, and he basically dropped a brand new game out of the blue. No, I don't think anyone expected it, except for people that might be really clever. But they announced Expeditions, a sequel to Scythe, or however you want to pronounce it. So yeah, that was like a big surprise and got everyone chomping at the bit, as other podcasts might suggest it.
They all got really excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a look at it. Jamie had a 10-minute video of running through a few turns. To show you what it's like. And it does seem very much like Scythe.
Right.
In the aesthetics and the gameplay style. With all the mechs and things as well. It is different, but it has a lot of similarities with Scythe. So it is, and I think it's a worthy sequel. I personally thought it looked a bit too dry. It looked a little bit too like it's gone the wrong way from Scythe. And I apologise, Jamie, because I do love your gamers, but the Scythe I thought was fine. It was right as a game. I think Expeditions is doubling down on some of the things I didn't find that interesting about Scythe.
Interesting.
But having only seen like 10 minutes of gameplay footage so far, it's hard to say for sure. So I will reserve judgment until we've got a full playthrough available somewhere to watch.
Aren't I mistaken? Isn't this a campaign kind of game? Because
let me have a quick read of the page. So this is on the Stonemaire's website.
Yeah.
You can find all the information.
I'm trying to. Maybe I'm getting confused with a different game that was announced or something like that. But so yeah, so that was.
It looks quite Scythe-like. It's got this has got a custom layout hex map. So the hex tiles that you lay out in a custom format, and you've got player boards with bits you unlock. It looks like and resource.
This is the trouble, isn't it? It is very Scythe-like, and it does make me wonder where you could divide the two.
Is it?
I mean, it's meant to be a sequel to Scythe, but it's meant also be completely different to Scythe. But then, will you come down to the nitty-gritty of it, and it's actually pretty much like Scythe? And
it looks like it's more card-based. There's a lot of cards you use to activate actions and powers, which you build or activate during your turn, as well as moving the mechs around to pick up resources and stuff. But you need the cards to trigger the.
So
resources.
We're using cards this time, where the first time was basic using action selection. So you're just moving a pawn around. In this, you're just playing cards, which is kind of no different in a way. It
gives you a lot more, a lot of avenues to adjust what kind of actions you do. So you have you can have a lot of different actions in there. A lot of variability and a lot of variability in what comes up really. Interesting how you win as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can pre-order it now, and I think it's going to be delivering very soon because it's pretty much done and it's there.
Yeah, it'll be being shipped at the moment. And there are two prices, isn't there? There's the basic version and there's the version with the metal mechs, which is I can't remember how much. The basic's like £60, and the something like that, and then the one with the mechs is like 120.
Yeah. Oh right,
Something around there.
I thought it was just money, but
So
yeah,
it's a lot more.
I knew it's like the upgraded version had metal money.
It's got metal mechs as well.
Ironclad edition. Oh yeah, metal mechs. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So that was that, and then they announced the third and last expansion to Tapestry, Fantasies and Futures.
Fantasies and Futures.
So,
and this is an interesting one because it's not designed by Jamie Stigmar. This is Mike Young, who co-designed the second expansion, the Arts and Architecture, Arcs and thingy one, but also Chris Scafidi, or I don't know. But it's not a Jamie designed this expansion, which is interesting.
No, and now this takes on the realms of basically, as it suggests in the title, fantasy and sci-fi aspects of civilization. So there's been a slight teaser of what you can expect. Let's just say also in this expansion, 10 new civilizations, 6 advanced capital city mats, 35 new tapestry cards, and 12 new tech cards, accompanied by a comprehensive rulebook, which basically puts all the rules from the core to the other 2 expansions together in one place, which is different.
And presumably they're also going to have all the updated rules for all the adjustments for the civs.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so.
We keep re-releasing with all the
it does also come with replacement cards for previous expansions, with like the 3 landmark cards that were orientated back to front, oil painting and migration card. So basically, I think there was misprints on those cards, and so basically you can get the replacements for that. So the little teaser they did say in that they have each kind of showed off one picture is the merfolk is one civilization. I was just reading through the text. I think there's more text than there is picture now. But so there's a lot to go through, which I did read, and then one of the tapestry cards.
Which one? The Phantasmal Paladins.
That's it, Phantasmal Paladins. Yeah, and it's got
what a name.
Different icons either side. So whenever they join up with each other, I think there was a new mechanic they're introducing. I'll go back in a minute. And Pyrokinesis is a new tech card.
Yep.
Again, there's actually text to this that you need to read. So it's actually adding.
It does mention the word charmed tapestries, which I don't think are they new or are they?
Yes, they are. I don't. It does say a new charm mechanism that provides one-time bonuses. Some new tapestry and tech cards include exciting payoffs reserved for the final income turn.
Cool. So, yeah.
Definitely, I'm going to back this.
Excellent.
Not back it, but purchase it when it's available. Purchase on the 1st of March to add it to my collection, and I'll probably stick on the mouse mat game board upgrade at the time.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Because why not? Get the whole lot. And apparently, now I can't find this now, but I did see it announced that they are in partnership with a insert. I think it's Folded Space, actually.
It is. It's down. It's the bottom of the page on Stonemaire's website.
Oh, is it?
It's an insert. Folded Space to hold all Tapestry content.
Yep, and it all goes into the core box. So no new box needed. Everything will fit in there with this insert, except for the playmat.
Those don't usually.
And it's also been printed on, so it's got actual art and everything on the insert, so you know where everything goes to put it away.
Brilliant.
So that's quite cool. So yeah, really nice announcement.
And Just reading the bottom of that as well, they're also saying later in 23 they're going to have a pack of revised, adjusted, rebalanced civs for the core game. The first 2 expansions you can buy kind of as upgrades.
Yes.
So yeah, you can buy the rebalanced civs as a replacements for your ones in the box.
Yeah, I think they're still collecting more and more data on it, and it's adjustments. I mean, we've already just had
the more they play it on BGA.
Yeah, they've had more adjustments made only last November on some of the original civilizations, which is all included on BGA. So I shouldn't drink Coke before I do a podcast, right? Yeah, so you
turn your smartwatch off this time. It's fine.
I haven't done that actually, but I don't seem to be popular tonight. Oh, because it's on some kind of weird setting. Let's turn that off. Right. So yes, definitely going to purchase this. Add it to the collection. I do need to get Tapestry play. I am playing it a lot on BGA as well. And I've lost my winning streak because I picked a bad civilization and it didn't work out for me. But anyway, that's
the way it happens sometimes.
It does. It's one of those things. Also, I have to say, when you start playing things like this, you notice rules properly. I have to say,
yeah.
And I think I had that. Some people really hate it. Marriage of States, and you basically you latch onto another opponent, and whenever they move up that track that you've latched onto, you gain the stuff as well that they get. And so I was being cheeky and latching onto someone on the technology track, and I was just gaining and gaining. But then I didn't realise is that I had this whole plan set up. I was going to do this, I was going to do that. I was going to get like 2 new civilizations because I had a card that allowed me to get a new civilization. And once I moved up on a step on the technology track, it allowed me to copy a square tech thing, which would get me a second civilization. So I was basically after as many civilizations as possible in that game, and I wasn't doing badly. I think I had 3 at the time. And because I latched onto this opponent who was making his way up the technology track, he got to the end just before I could activate this square activity again. And I didn't realise it actually moves your cube off, and you have no choice.
Oh no! Yeah,
you have to move it. Oh, because I was like, I don't want it. Can I decline it? I don't want to do this. And no, I had to move it, and I basically went back to the technology track again and tried to work my way back up it, but I ran out of turns too much. So
that's harsh.
It was a bit harsh. I didn't do too badly. Did I come second or did I can't remember now. I think I might have still won, but it's one of those things. I keep kind of challenging myself with trying different things, and
try to max your score.
Yeah, those trading civs are rubbish. New game coming out from Matt Leacock into the new Forbidden, or not in the Forbidden series called Forbidden Jungle. Now, Nick pointed this out.
Yeah, I found this. This is on Board Game Geek News, and it's back in another tin. To match the other ones, and this is. There's very little detail. You've just got the tin image and then a brief explanation, and you've crash landed again on a mysterious jungle planet, apparently to a different planet, and you are trying to search the ruins of an abandoned outpost for an elusive escape portal while fending off ever-growing hordes of venomous creatures and escalating chains of collapsing locations. And you again have to shift tiles around to power up the portal. So it sounds kind of like a combination between all the last 3, actually, I suppose. So you've got the tiles moving around like in Forbidden Desert. You're trying to search around while they collapse, which is like Forbidden Island, and then you've got shifting around to power up a portal, which sounds like Forbidden Sky. So yeah, I'm not sure how different this is going to be to the other 3. I'm not sure if I'm a bit burnt out on the Forbidden franchise at this point. It doesn't sound that different, but I will reserve judgment till I've actually seen more detail.
I mean, I've got all
And
three.
there are people already
Not
complaining
heavy,
about the fact they're in tins.
yeah, the first comment on it is like, please stop putting them in
using
teas.
tins. I don't mind the tins. I like tins.
Second comment.
They don't stack vertically. Oh.
Yeah. The second comment is a reply to this. Also, all decorative shape boxes. The only acceptable shape is a games box with a game box is a rectangle prism.
So good.
Great. I think I got rid of Forbidden Skies because I just thought it was rubbish.
Yeah, it didn't get very good reviews.
No.
Well, at least compared to the others.
I mean, I do love Forbidden Island. It's such a great first game, and I was quite excited with the announcement of Desert, but it was all right.
Desert, I found Desert was right.
I
think it was not as good as Forbidden.
I think Forbidden Sky was just a bit of a gimmick, wasn't it, with the light up rocket thing?
Indeed.
But I don't know, one of those things. Anyway,
we will see.
We'll see when it comes out. So I need to play this game. Explore, kill, die, mutate, and repeat in Dead Cells, the Rogue-Lite board game. So Dead Cells is a video game. I can actually play it on Xbox Game Pass. And I probably will download it now because I have watched a couple of videos. It's a side-on platformer game where you're basically jumping around in kind of dungeon-like areas, shooting and destroying victims and collecting resources and upgrading yourself. And I think this is meant to be like very similar to that aspect. It's also done by Anton Balzer and
a great team, Anton Balzer and Ludovic Montblanc.
That's it.
And among others, or two others as well.
So Theo Riviera, or however you say that, with all the accents above it. And
Corentin Liberat.
So yes,
the good design team there.
Definitely. It's actually heading to Kickstarter later on this year. But we'll check it out and see how it goes. 1 to 4 players, 45-minute playtime. Okay.
Sounds pretty good.
I mean, it's meant to be one of those that's quick pick up, do what you do, and be interesting to see how they play it out to get that kind of fast like gameplay going. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Kind of fun.
So finally, Jesus, when was the first one released? 2020 or 2021? Maybe 21. Descent: Legends of the Dark finally gets an expansion. So Fantasy Flight teased the front cover. It's called Betrayer's War, and that's it. That's all we got. So
some ominous music.
And some ominous music, yeah. I've done about 3-4 games of Descent: Legends of the Dark. It's actually really quite good, and the missus surprisingly enjoyed it. So yeah, we just never got back to it because we moved house. So it was one of those.
That's the one that came in the enormous box, isn't it?
Yes. It needed to come in an enormous box because you don't want to keep taking the scenery apart and putting it back together again.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It was quite clever.
Oh, I remember seeing this.
Deities. In Deities you play as ancient gods who are both feared and revered by a young civilization, trying to help them thrive and prosper. The goal is to suppress other deities who want to share the glory and become the highest deity. It just caught my eye. I like the write-up. I will check this game out when it comes out. Can't remember who
it's got some fun-looking pieces.
Yeah, Dice Tower's done a review already. So,
it is Mundu Games.
That's it.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some it looks like stackable little towers on the map. Don't know much more than that from the images.
Now I'm surprised Nick's not actually, because he seems to in the Discord chat all the time finding the latest roll and write or flip and write. And now there's Istanbul choose and write. So yeah,
I didn't mention this, because I thought I'd mentioned enough roll and rights, but I have read all the rules to this already.
everything's a roll and write at the minute, as you will see later on in the podcast.
But this is a choose and write, so this is effectively no randomized element.
No.
It's a pick from a central selection of action, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
I have to remember back now because it's been a couple of weeks since I read the rule book. You pick from a selection of actions and then do that action, and then it goes around like that. So it's more of a kind of a draft and write, but without actually passing cards around.
Okay.
But it is in the Istanbul line of games, so you are trying to get the most gems, fill your gems up as quickly as possible by visiting, in inverted commas, various places on your playboard, filling in the things, getting bonuses, triggering more bonuses. So combo-tastic.
One you'll be interested in trying?
Yeah, I'd happily try it. I don't know if I would want to buy it without trying it, because these cut down versions of bigger games tend to leave me wanting to just play the bigger game.
Yeah.
And I do like Istanbul, but I don't. And Istanbul, the dice game, I kind of wanted to try that as well, but didn't, because it just looked a bit too light compared to Istanbul. And this one I think is probably about the same weight as the dice game. In fact, this might be a little bit meatier than dice game. It's got, I think, more choice than the dice game. But it's the same designer, really good all. I think it's the same artist, and Andreas Resch.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Did, the original Istanbul. It would be good if it does something interesting to the Istanbul kind of not franchise. It's 3 games, isn't really a franchise, but if it adds something to it, that'd be good. But as I said, these cut down games make me end up wanting to just play the big game, and I do like Istanbul. So we'll see. We'll see on that. We'll see if anyone buys it, and I'll go get to play
it. So in October 2022, this was announced, but I'm pretty sure we were discussing it a few weeks ago. Renegade Studios has made a deal with Hasbro to license and publish some of their games in their catalogue, like Axes and Allies, Diplomacy, Robo Rally, Squad Leader, and Sid Sackson's Acquire. So
I think it was Acquire. We might have mentioned that was the one.
I think it was Acquire.
I hadn't heard about the other ones. Yeah, because that was the one that I've heard about. I haven't heard about the other ones. But that's pretty cool, yeah. Because those are some big names.
Yeah, definitely. I quite liked Acquire when I played it. I played it twice.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a very clever, considering when Sid Sackson designed it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. It's a good.
I wonder if they're going to bring out the Renegade Game Studio Classic line or something like that.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, these are all. I mean, especially things like Axis and Allies and Diplomacy. Those are, they're all pretty old. I don't know how old Squad Leader is. Yeah, 77. Squad Leader came out.
Yeah, solo kind of chip. Fantastic.
It's a 2-player. It does look like a kind of a hex encounter.
That's it.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how that.
Yeah, it makes me wonder whether they're going to.
I wonder how much they paid for that, because that's.
Well, I know.
Those are big names, and why are Hasbro not continuing to publish them? Do they not think
it was probably just beneath them? It's
mainstream enough now.
Well, this is it. Yeah. They probably just looked at it and said, "There's no point to these games. They don't sell as well as our Monopoly and Clue and things like that."
Although Robo Rally, I would have thought would have been kind of in the right.
The Robo Rally's got a problem, isn't it? It just takes way too bloody long to play.
Yeah. I suppose it's all the programming in advance stuff.
It's I think Tom Vass always says whenever he plays, someone says Robo Rally, it's we'll just do the training mode. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just keep it down to 4 squares, and it won't take 3 hours to play. So.
Yep.
So it'd be interesting to see if they actually change any of this, update the rules, make it a bit more streamlined, or they just have to, or that they might only be allowed to release as is, and that might be the agreement.
It might just be a publishing license.
Yeah. So
cool.
We'll see.
Good for them.
And last of all, I thought I'd drop this in there because if Lewis was joining it, he'd be all over this because he loves these kind of weird.
He would love it.
He would, along with his Throw Burrito, which has got an expansion coming out. Dodge burrito. I saw that in
Oh,
Waterstones, which is quite funny.
oh dear.
I was going to get it and send it to him.
Yeah. But this one is.
This one's called Chicken versus Hot Dog.
And it comes with a plastic chicken and a plastic hot dog.
Well, I
Brilliant.
think I've seen this in Waterstones as well, and I had a double take. I was like, "What the hell's that?" Oh, it's one of those games. Oh, really? But apparently, just recently, it's been announced as the winner of the 2023 Witty Prize of UK.
Winning Inventor Toy of the Year.
Yeah, prize at UK Toy Inventors Dinner. So Witty stands for Winning Inventor Toy of the Year. Okay, that simply rolls off the tongue. Yeah, basically, I don't know. They must have paid a lot of money. I don't know. I might just.
Well, they just haven't looked at any other toys at all.
Yeah.
But we're saying that having not played this game, but I don't know. It's got a weighting of 1 out of 5 on Board Game Geek, which is the lowest complexity rating you can get.
Shall we get?
It's age 10 plus. So
shall we get a copy and play it at the North Devon retreat? Especially with Lewis.
Yes. Right. I'm going to queue up watching the Dice Tower review of it.
They haven't done a review. Oh, I've got to see
Tom's. They have, yeah.
Is it Tom reviewing it? Because that
I think it is.
Oh, brilliant.
The comments are good as well. Yeah. I'll look forward to that.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, definitely got to get a copy.
Well done to them for winning the Witty award.
2 to 10 players, okay. 15 to 60 minutes. That's a huge kind of...
That's a player count thing, I reckon.
Right, definitely getting that.
Between 2 players and 10 players.
Yeah, right.
Into the order. It goes.
Yeah, into the order basket. Done. Right. That's the news over with. Kickstarters. So, okay, it has ended. Marvel United Multiverse Season 3. I think I've mentioned this last three podcasts.
Yeah, you were super excited.
I'm super excited. Still super excited. They ended on a massive big bang. I think they threw everything in and the kitchen sink. I don't know if they were doing it because this is all they have left, or they just wanted to get more money from people. It's probably that. But it just felt like they were like, here's more stuff. Give us more money. Here's more stuff. Give us more money.
Wow.
To the end of it, they gave us campaign scenario cards.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
campaign as well. And they ended with just shy of 21,000 backers.
Yeah.
And they made $4.7 million. Did you back all in, Joel?
No, I haven't. I don't back all in on this. So, yeah, 8 campaign sets. So, they're featuring things like World War Hulk, which was the last expansion they announced. Avengers vs. X-Men, the Dark Phoenix Saga, Age of Ultron. So, you can basically play through it. You will need most of the stuff from all 3 seasons because it will list who you're fighting, the heroes involved, how you deal with it, things like that. So, yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. You need to be a sucker and buy it all to be able to use it.
That's so much stuff. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Not only that, they announced pets. So you get 6 pets.
Pet companions.
Yeah. You also get 6.
They are so cute, those minis.
7 card sets because in season 2 you got Lockheed, which is the dragon for what's her name? I want to say Shadowcat, but I don't think it's Shadowcat. But the ex-person that can morph through walls and things like that. Oh, I can't think of her name.
Right.
I can do my head in. Anyway, so she had a pet dragon. Yeah. And because it came as a separate figure, they also given you a deck to go with that pet. So if you've got season 2 promos, you're going to have that deck as well. So yeah, loads of expansions released, loads of add-ons. They finished off with massive big exclusive figure of Fing Fang Foom, which is a dragon. People are upset that he's got no pants for some reason. I don't know. There's nothing I know about it. But in this, there's like 4 massive figures. Because Civil War gives you Goliath, which is a massive figure. In the promo set, you get Stature, which is actually Cassie Lang that you'll see in the new Ant-Man movie. Bing Fan Foom, and Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. They are 4 big figures. And I wouldn't have known about Moon Girl or Devil Dinosaur if I hadn't been playing Marvel Snap all the time. Which is just crazy. Some of these stuff I don't even know about, but hey. And you know what? Even though this campaign is only just finished, people are already talking about Season 4 and what figures need to be or what heroes need to be in it. I was like, I'm done.
Oh my word!
I cannot.
Once you're sucked in, that's it.
That's it. I'm done. I don't think there is anything more they could come out with. I'd be wrong. And when it does do Season 4, it'll probably be again. Yeah, here, Joel. Give us your money. So, I don't know why. It's just Marvel.
It'll take you long enough to play all of these campaigns.
Well, this is it. And painting.
Never will it?
I want to paint it all.
It's a whole lot to paint.
I've still got all Season 1, Season 2, and this to go through. So yeah. What they also did throw in is so in Season 1 you got Sinister Six expansion, which is basically you playing against like Sinister Six villains as one.
Yep.
And now in this one they've done a Maximum Carnage expansion, which is similar to Sinister Six. And if you back all this, you basically get like these puzzle-shaped boards that will piece together to make Sinister Six boards out of all the characters of Spider-Man villains. So every Spider-Man villain you can think about, you can basically piece together a Sinister Six and have Spider-Man fight them as the Sinister Six, which is amazing. Cool. And again, far much more content that you'll ever get through in this entire lifetime. So yeah, I'm hoping this is it for me. I'm done. No, I'm not fully backed, but that's not to say when the Pledge Manager comes out, I will be scraping the coins from behind the sofa. Stone Saga. Cool. Stone Saga is a very interesting looking game. What really annoys me...
just described as a crafting board game.
Yeah, what really annoys me is when they put these videos out on Kickstarter, and they put a lovely video out, but there's nothing telling you about the game. It's just images that are repeating over and over again in different layouts, in different angles, and you don't know. I don't even know what's going on with this game. And it looks very nice. Pretty. It does. But it's also from the same people that I've just asked for a refund back on their first game they released.
Which one was that? Dare we ask?
Mythwind.
Oh yeah, Mythwind. Yeah.
So yeah.
I like. Yeah, the page doesn't really tell you much about gameplay for quite a long way down the page.
No.
I'm still scrolling. I can't see anything about it. But it has these cool little terrain trays where you put the hex terrains in these trays to keep them in place and stuff. And they can link together.
Yeah.
Which looks quite fun. Little minis to move around. And the crafting system does sound quite interesting, where you're trying to combine various items to see if they work together. Which is kind of a nice idea. That's kind of the, from what I can tell, that's the only hook. That's the only different thing to distinguish this from other games.
Yeah. The Stone Saga is a cooperative, campaign-style survival crafting board game set in a unique, persistent world shaped by your choices. Designed by Max Brooks, famed of Star Wars X-Wing, Legends of the Five Rings RPG, and Luke Eddy, Star Wars Legion.
I found the gameplay section. It is 2/3 down the page. It's a long way down where it starts to actually tell you what the gameplay is. Just what Sam's moan was last time about the other one we saw. Yeah, it doesn't tell you for most of the page.
Well, anyway, I mean, again, this is just another one that seems to be all over my social media. Every time I scroll on something,
Yeah,
it's just like
they're really pushing
Stone
the marketing.
Saga. Oh, for crying out! I wish there was a way of saying I don't want to see this anymore.
Yeah,
But
it's that I've dealt with that one. Turn it off. Don't remind me again.
here's one for Nick. Blueprints of Mad King Lubwick.
Yay! Good old Mad King Ludwig. So this is a new game in the Mad King Ludwig line, following Castles of Mad King Ludwig and the Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. So this one is Blueprints of Mad King Ludwig, which is marketed as a flip and sketch strategy game. It's kind of like a roll and write-ish type thing, but you're drawing the rooms onto what looks like kind of tracing paper type stuff. So you're putting a room underneath your tracing paper thing, adjusting it, and then you're colouring it in based on the shape that you can see through the transparency, and then you're doing joining the rooms up, and it looks quite similar mechanically to the original Castles, where you get bonuses for connecting rooms and then completing rooms and things. But yeah, it looked kind of fun. I think it's flip and right. It might be actually what it is. So you've got a deck of cards you're flipping over, and you're trying to fit the rooms in and stuff. And it comes with a nice deck of colouring pencils, little packet of colouring pencils. Yeah, looks quite cute. It's I think it's another one for Ted Allspock design. Yep, Ted Allspock from Bezier Games. And it comes in a nice Sam-worthy £34 if you want to back it. So Sam, there you go, like nice 30-ish pounds game. But yeah, looks kind of fun.
Yeah, just looking at what it had to offer. Deluxe upgrade, 50 extra sheets, 50 score sheet, 4 additional sets, and then the game tray organizer. Does that come in?
Come with the game trays organizer for
Yeah.
flipping. And it looks like they've got some kind of neoprene mat as well in there.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can see the layout of the game trays organised. I was like, hold on a minute, there's 4 sets of pencils. No, 5 sets of pencils in there.
Yeah, that's a lot of pencils. That's one. I suppose it's one per player, isn't it? That's
well, yeah.
Because you'd have to have multiple colours because you need one for each coloured room.
Yeah,
so if you're
deluxe.
colourblind, this might not be the best game for you because I don't know how you distinguish the.
No.
The rooms.
No, these papers, they can't be reusable. You only get 50 sheets in it.
I wouldn't think they are.
4 people playing at a time. Was it up to 5 players?
Vellum sketch pads, they're called, these transparencies. You get 100 of those. 100 score pads.
Oh, it said 50. Am I reading
that's
it
the
wrong?
deluxe. That might be the that's the basic one, I think. The deluxe has 100. So that is pretty
I suppose you'll get about 20 games out of it if it was up to 5 players. I don't know how many players can play this actually.
I'm going to guess 5 based on 5 decks of cards. Now there's a challenge. Let's find out if we can find out what the player count is from the page itself. How long will it take me to find that out?
Scrolling. We'll put some
if you read the contents of the thing, then it says 5 player sketch panels and 5 player aids. So I'm going to guess it's up to 5.
Yeah.
But then is it soloable? That's the question. There's no mention anywhere of the player count.
All right, elevator music in here while we try and find out if it's soloable.
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to put it as Board Game Geek because I can't find it anywhere.
It doesn't list.
It is 1 to 5.
It is 1 to 5.
On Board Game Geek says 1 to 5. I'm going to find.
I think every board game on here should be. The first part should be how many players, how long.
I mean, it might be in the video at the top, but I never watch the videos. I immediately scroll down to find out the gameplay is.
I always watch the videos.
I might go back and watch them later on, but if it doesn't catch, if my attention isn't caught from the first few scrolls, scroll downs of what showing me what the gameplay is, I'll just ignore it.
Right.
Because so much comes through. That's kind of the way I filter it. So if I can get enough information from the first few mouse scrolls, then I go, okay, I might have to look more on that. And there's, it's not bad. It's great. It's got how to play within the first 2 scrolls, which is pretty good. But other than that, there's no player count. Player
Fine.
count, Bezier. Add it in.
Yeah. I should have said on this Stone Saga, the core box to pledge at is 132 Canadian dollars. The all-in is 402 Canadian dollars, which gets you an absurd amount of stuff. But then in Canadian dollars, it's probably about 100 quid in British pounds. Early kidding. Not that.
Quick conversion, £81. There you go.
No, it's not, is it? £402. It's not £81, is it?
No, 132. The base one.
Oh, right.
132 Canadian dollars.
Oh, yeah, 82.
400 is about $260. £260.
Actually, I mean, for what you're getting,
I'm sure it's value for money.
Yeah.
But without playing it first, I would not put anywhere that much money down. I'd have to see it first.
And the Marvel United Multiverse did do an all-in pledge, which gets you everything apart from.
Oh, how much was it?
Apart from,
they
never give you plastic tokens or cardboard locations or things like that, but you get all the expansions, the stretch goals, all sets of cards. So they were doing teams and the campaign.
It's crazy.
All that stuff. All in pledge is the Omniverse pledge, $360.
And that's 7,756 backers picked that one. That's insane. That's so many.
I mean, look at how much you're getting with it. The like dot.
I'm not saying you're not getting a lot with it. But 7,500 people having that much money to throw at Marvel. I suppose if they are Marvel fanboys or girls,
this is it.
And there we go. They're probably quite happy with that purchase.
Yeah. The good thing with it is that you're using the campaign supporter, you can pledge by PayPal. So then you can actually also opt on PayPal to pay over the next 3 months without zero interest. So I might.
Oh, nice. That's quite nice. Yeah.
I might just do that.
Spread the cost.
Yeah.
Then you don't realise how much you pay.
Yeah, you don't feel so bad afterwards.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Something wrong with me. Anyway, where are we on to?
The last one, Kickstarters.
Yeah.
The last of the Kickstarters is
3 small games from tabletop board game tables.
Yeah, boardgametables.com, who are changing their name to All Play.
Yes, it.
Which is a lot easier to remember.
Yeah.
Because board game tables doesn't sound like they make games. It sounds like they make tables.
And it looks like there's a few interesting games. They're all completely different.
Yep.
Kind of. There's Chomp, Culture, Mindspace, and Sail.
They do look interesting, and I've watched a video rules overview of Sail. I've listened to a podcast about Chomp, so they are pushing the marketing as well, but they're all different. So you got Chomp is a tile laying game where you're laying tiles over the top of each other. Culture is multiple simultaneous auctions rather. So an auction game. Sounds fun. Mindspace is they describe it as a puzzly polyomino roll and write. So I wonder how they thought of that idea. And then Sail is a cooperative trick-taking game, which is a 2-player only cooperative trick-taking game. And that's the one that really interested me, was the trick-taker for 2 players, where you're trying to sail your boat across a diamond-shaped map. Based on who wins which trick is which direction you can move the ship in, and you're trying to avoid the Kraken and stuff. But they seem quite fun, and they're only $19 each. It's about £16. Or you can get all 4 for $76.
Yeah. And that comes with basically expansion upgrade components as well. So that's 76.
Yeah, some nice wooden tokens and nice dice and things.
So, which looks interesting.
Yep.
I mean, 2 of these, by the looks of it, Mindspace and Chomp, are kind of roll and rights, if you know what I mean. Because they come with
Mindspace is a wrong right. Chomp, I think, is just tile laying. It looks a bit wrong, but it's
sure, yeah.
But there are tiles.
I'm sure I saw some.
Yeah, Chomp is where you've got like square tiles, which each of them have 4 mini squares in them, and you're overlaying them to get the terrain right and get your dinosaurs.
Right.
avoid being eaten or go and eat other dinosaurs.
I must have
Quite
missed something then because I've.
Oh, it does have writable bits. So you do have dry erase marker. You write on the cards.
Ah, right, yeah.
That's what it is. And you have egg tokens and extinct dino tokens. Yeah, that was quite fun. Yeah, so they're quite nice. And it's the publishing team who did Mountain Goats, Sequoia and Dandelion. So that Mountain Goats was a fun little, very light little kind of dice rolling game. That was quite fun. That's on Board Game Arena actually. It's on one of the online sites. I've seen quite a lot of these games these days where little Kickstarters where they are bundling multiple small games into one, which is obviously a way for them to get cheaper production and shipping on them.
Yeah.
It's got a nice way of doing it.
All right. On to games we have been playing. Now, I've not played actually many since the last recording. I think I've actually played only 3 games. Clank Legacy. And
again, yay, more Clank.
Yeah.
Got the Clank in there for
got
the
the Clank in. Ding. And Quacks, Only Simply.
Cool.
So, but the new game I have played, new to me, is Stroganov. I think that's how you say it.
Yep.
Now, I like the look of this. I didn't back it. It was on Kickstarter, but I didn't back it. And it I didn't realise what it was all about until it was explained to me. So, what Stroganov is basically set in 16th century Russia, where it's expanding eastwards into the vast lands of Siberia, and basically trying to not take it over, but just stretching out into Siberia, which that era was called Stroganov. Basically, in this game, you are hunting animals and collecting their furs and gaining wards and trophies and everything else about it. And as soon as that was put to me, it kind of hit me. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. There's that feeling of uncomfortableness about the fact that you're deliberately hunting animals for game for their furs. And then I kind of realised this is probably what people thought when they heard about you can have a board game about building a prison and putting prisoners in it. And I was like, okay. But animals are being hurt unintentionally here. Anyway, yeah, it's a good game, apart from the overwhelming theme and feelings. I just had to kind of look over the actual theme of it and just try and play it as a game. It's got that. I like the aspect where you're moving along a track. You can't go backwards, so you can go fast forward as your movement allows you. And then you're basically collecting tokens of different values. You're trying to collect those tokens to try and match maybe your objective cards you got in front of you, which will then give you more powers. So, say you need 3 foxes, you're trying to get 3 fox tokens to put that power, to complete that, gain some victory points, and it will give you player powers that could help you throughout the game. You can then... It's kind of quite complex in your turn, so you move as like action, and then you can have a gold action which allow you to do other bits. And that was that choice of, okay, I really need this, but if I take this, that could happen. If someone gets ahead of you, moves just ahead of you, they're going to go first next turn, and they might get to where you want to do, which is really annoying when it happens. And it's really frustrating. And then you also see that some people build up those kind of combo aspects where it just don't, right, if I move here, I do this. This allows me to get this, which unlocks this. Then I can take this card, which then I can do this. And you're just sat there going, I'm following, I think.
Yeah.
I'm really jealous because my next turn is move here, take this, and
Mm.
I don't know what to do with my gold action because none of this helps as much as it helped you. Okay, I'll just do this. And I done really poorly on it. I did say I'd play it again if it was out to play. Just now I know what I'm doing.
See if you can improve. Yeah.
See if I can improve, but it got to a point where I'm not scoring anything more now. I'm stuck. And there's a bit of set collection going on, and then I was trying to collect those sets, but then those sets stopped coming out because someone actually brought them all up at the beginning of the game, and then it was just like, you don't need all those sets, do you? They're not going to do you any good. And they didn't realise that until the end of the game. Oh, I thought you collected all the same ones. No, you need to collect different ones. Oh, so these are useless to me. Yes. And I could have really done with one of those you got. Yes, they are not worthless. But, yeah, it is. I don't know about it. Still have strong feelings about it.
Your game was quite long, wasn't it? It took quite long.
It took the all evening. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
It's about 3 hours, I think.
About 3 hours, yeah. 6:30 start, 9:30 finish.
Yeah.
So, and it took a while to get idea of what you're doing with the actions, because like even though it's kind of quite well laid out, it was still like silver actions were your first action, but you're basically going to move, and that was your silver action. Then you got your gold actions. And if you have a chance to repeat actions, you're going to take a gold action because they're stronger than the silver actions. And then it's one of those things, I didn't realise that happened when you did that. Oh, I might have done that differently next time. But
yeah, one of those games where you have to play like a practice game.
Definitely.
Before you play a proper scoring game. So you can pick up everything you're doing and everything interacts.
So yeah, apart from the collecting furs for trophies, it was a good game. It had good concepts. I liked the mechanic of moving forwards.
Takedo,
that's it. So yeah, I do like that. Can only go forwards, but you can only go forward by a certain amount because of your speed or things like that. You can pay to go further. And one of those things. Needs another play. That's really the only game. It's a bit downhearted, but I love the art. The artwork's lovely. Again,
it is nicely done. Yeah, it's really nice.
Again,
it's a good designer.
Yeah, who was a designer? Oh yeah,
Andrew Stiding.
Yeah,
he's done Hansa Teutonica, Gugong, those kind of things. Yeah, so he's a great designer. So yeah, I haven't played not much either since the last time. So the only two things I've played multiplayer are we got to play Wingspan Asia. So this was a 4-player. We played this, and the Asia expansion for multiplayer basically adds in more cards, so more birds from Asia, and a few end of round goal tweaks and a few new end game bonus cards. So we mixed it all together with Oceania and European expansions all together, because Chris had got the nesting box, the massive big box with everything in it. So yeah, we played that in 4-player. A nice time. The Asia stuff didn't change up the game enormously, but it added a nice bit of extra variety. Sam was having great fun with the Wing Song app on his phone, where you can you get your phone camera, hover over the card, and it'll play the bird sound, the bird song for the bird you're pointing at.
All right.
So we were having hilarious fun with that, finding the funniest sounding bird. But it was a good time. I think the Asia expansion is probably much more tuned towards the 2-player only mode, which they added in, which adds the different end of round scoring method, and the components for just 2 players, like the extra little dice mat and things. So I would like to try it at some point 2-player to see how that changes up things, because I really like the idea of the changes to the end of round goals that they put in. But I enjoy Wingspan as a 2-player as it is, so I'm quite happy to try that. I don't know if I would say this is a must-have if you tend to play it 3 or 4-player. If you play it 2-player mostly, then I would say you probably do want to check it out. because of these changes. But yeah, it was a nice change. They had some nice alternate bird powers. It didn't get any crazy high scores, but Ian managed to get a good tucking engine. He got a load of cards tucked under. I had cards coming out of my everywhere. Just cards everywhere. I was just triggering cards, gaining cards all over the place. That was fun. And then I spammed eggs at the end, which was always fun at the end to just do eggs. But we had a nice time playing that. And then we moved on to Paperback, which is a Tim Fowers game, which is in the same line as the one that Joel mentioned in the last podcast, where he played the Paperback Adventures. This was the kind of the original game. Well, this is the game that came after Hardback. This was a kind of a smaller version of Hardback. This is called Paperback.
No, you think you find it's the other way around.
Yes, Hardback came after.
Hardback came after.
I'm misreading the word. Yeah, so Hardback was a remake. So Paperback, yeah, so it was the original of the this series, and this is a fairly simple-ish word deck builder. So you're building up a deck of letters that you're then trying to make words out of, and the more letters you get in a word, the more money you will get to then buy more letters. And there's always a common letter in the middle, which is usually a vowel, to help you build up letters. Some of the cards have double letters on, like CH or AN, kind of common combinations of two letters. There are powers on some of the cards so that when you play them, they stay out for that round, so they stop other people. Like they'll stop them using the common letter, or they will make them lose points if they don't use all the cards in their hand or something. So there's some fun kind of interactions there, and you're in kind of Dominion style. You're trying to buy these points cards, which are just clogging up your deck, but they are the points at the end of the game. So you're trying to get rid of all those, buy all those cards up to win the game. And that was a fun time. It didn't take that long. Yeah, about 45 minutes was about how long it was. And that was quite a fun little game. I like that quite a lot.
Yeah, two little things on that. So Thursday I had 2 hours to kill. Not 2 hordes to kill, as I put in my tweet. Because my phone was being repaired at the Apple shop, and so I thought, I'll just mosey around all the charity shops and see if there's any board games that need rescuing. And apart from the ample of 24-hour the board game, I did find a almost complete version of Paperback for £2. The only thing that was missing was the cubes.
And they're part of one of the variant modes anyway.
Okay. Which I first thought, well,
so they're not, and you can replace cubes anyway.
Yeah, I've got tons of cubes, loads of cubes. Yeah. So yeah, that was the only thing that was missing, because I did check all the cards. All the cards are there. Everything's in pretty good condition. So yeah, I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll keep that. And the other thing, listened to the Dice Tower podcast, and they actually had Tim Fowler on there, and they asked him what's the things he learned from like distributing when he first started in board games, and because I think Paperback was one of his first games, is that he said when he sent it to the UK, the shipment to the UK, he didn't get charged VAT for it, because on the box it said
yes,
Paperback.
And they thought it was actually Paperback books.
Yep.
Brilliant.
And so he didn't get charged VAT.
So funny.
Which is, so I don't know, a bonus to him. Or I don't know if he can.
It reminds me of the time that Freedom of Freeze was sending out one of his games called Fresh Fish, and it got pulled up at customs because they thought it was actually fresh fish in it. And they opened it and it was just in boxes of cards, and they didn't know what was.
Brilliant.
So good.
I've heard horror stories. I think Paul Grogan said when one of the games he was working on with CGE was being come to UK. Trying to think what game it was. It basically got one of these hot checks from customs at the port, and what they do is they just go through the whole container and just pull everything apart, checking for contraband or things like that. And he just said he was just like, they got images back, and the boxes were just ripped apart, trod all over, components were everywhere. it was horrifying. I'm trying to really think what game it could be, but I really can't. It's many years ago. But yeah. So yeah. That's my thoughts. I still need to play Paperback. But yeah. Look forward to it.
Yep.
It's one of those games I never thought about, never really want to play because I'm dyslexic. I struggle with spelling as it is anyway, but then I saw a lot of you were just cheating anyway with like spell apps and checking if words letters actually made a word.
Yeah, and that I think you have to do that with word games, otherwise some people are going to have much better word knowledge.
Yeah,
know how to spell these weird words, and then you go, well, that can't possibly be a word, and then you look it up and go, okay, that is a real word.
Yeah.
But we were coming up with some interesting words and using proper nouns when we shouldn't have done, and that was funny.
But anyway, so on to our top 3 games. So our top 3 games of this episode are from 5 years ago and 10 years ago, 2013 and 2018. Now, I'm hoping Sam will be recording his list tomorrow night. So what I'm just going to do is probably just insert his games when we do ours. So hopefully it works out. It's probably going to be janky as anything, but hey ho, that's what happens when you can't all meet up at the same time.
There.
Yeah, at least he's done it. He's put the hard work into it.
He's filled in the thing, unlike certain other people.
Yeah, Lewis. So, honourable mentions. I basically just said if you've really got a solid reason for this, because I just didn't want anyone getting their 4th game in there. My honourable mention is related to Meeple's Corner. It's Steam Park. Yay. Now, Steam Park, I saw this game promoted at Essen, and I saw, that looks amazing. I really want to play it. I really want it. And it just wasn't coming out in the UK. I was always contacting people, I was even speaking to Estevium, which are Asmodee UK at the time. And they just said, don't know when it's coming. Don't know. I was like, but it's out everywhere else. And then, don't know. Yeah. I was like, And it wasn't until I was looking through the internet and stumbled across a brand new board game shop that was in Devon too, and they had a copy of Steam Park, and I was like, awesome. Where are they based? Oh, just north of Exeter. I might just have a trip up there and go and pick it up. Which is then I met Christoph and found Meeple's Corner.
Yep.
And it's been a rabbit hole of giving him my money ever since. So
that's a solid reason for having that honourable mention.
Yeah, and I've still got Steam Park. It's in very bad.
You enjoy it?
I haven't played it for years, actually. I really do need to. I really would like the expansion, but I never was able to get a hold of that either. But I mean, Steam Parks, it's a little bit weird because it's got this fast grabbing. So you're rolling dice as quickly as possible until you're settled on the rolls, and then you have to grab these tokens from the middle to say whether you're the first person, second person to lock them in. And usually people are trying to grab the token first, and then sometimes I've been there and there's 2 people holding this cardboard token between them, and I can just see the tension in the middle is guys, that's going to snap in a minute. Either one of you decides to give it up, I'm calling it, and someone usually gives it, because it's just it's my game, stop it. And then there's this whole aspect of buying robots in and pulling them out of the bag and putting them on your roller coasters that you got in your robot theme park, and they poop everywhere.
I love the theme. So good.
And so I do need to play that
Great
again.
Stuff.
So that's my honourable mention. So Steam Park, that came out in 2013, I think.
2013, I know. Yeah, 10 years ago. Amazing. So my honourable mention is Kashgar, Merchants of the Silk Road, which is, as a caveat, I've only ever played online because it was near impossible to get. It was only published in German for quite a long time. And then it had a Kickstarter printing a couple of years ago, I think it was. for an English edition, which I didn't go in for because it was just too expensive at the time. But this is on my honorable mentions because this is my most played game of 2013 with 28 players. So 28 games I've had of this on yukata.de. And this is a kind of deck builder where you have 3 different columns of effectively like 3 hands, but 3 open hands, where everyone can see what's in what, and you can only activate the card on the top of the pile, and once you've done it, it goes to the back, and you're trying to build up on certain tracks to then buy the points cards and locations. And it's a lot of fun. It's a nice, very, very clever little game, and that is why it's on my list for most plays in 2013.
I kind of remember the front cover and being put off.
Yeah, it's very classic Euro style front cover with a grumpy looking dude on the front. But it's a fun game. It's a fun game.
Does look like that. Cool. So, our number 3.
Okay, so my number 3 for 2018, 5 years ago, is Just One, which for my money is probably about the best. I think it's derogatory to call it a party game. I don't really sure I'd call Just One a party game. But it's become a kind of staple filler for us on a game night. So, because it plays pretty much as many as you need it to, albeit up to 7, I think, in the box. But it's just an easy game to play. It's a lot of laughs, sort of trying to guess words that might be different to everyone else that's playing. So you get that meta game of trying to work out who's going to think of which words for the clues and trying to avoid those, and then clashing anyway. And it just ends up being a really good experience, even on a normal game night. But also because it's a really good family game. So I get to play Just One with family and friends who don't normally play games. Even Megan, my wife, who does not play games at all, she enjoys playing Just One because it's kind of more of an activity than it is a game. So yeah, Just One has been a genuine hit. I wouldn't say it's going to appear on many lists at this sort of stage for that reason, but for me, in terms of experiences, Just One gets the nod. Okay, so my number 3 for 2013 is Room 25. This has kind of gone off the boil a little bit for me over the last couple of years. But when I first got it and we were first playing in the pub, Room 25 was one that would come to the table all of the time, because it felt like you were playing a nice big kind of game, but it was literally only take like half an hour, 45 minutes at most. So I don't really like social deduction sort of games, but the hidden traitor type ones where you've got a very clear role to play, and it doesn't rely particularly on metagame and stuff, always seems to work quite well. And Room 25 has got that really cool theme of essentially Cube, the board game, and it's just a lot of fun. You get those kind of chaotic moments where someone has made the wrong mistake, programmed the wrong moves, and then has to push somebody into another room, pushing a person they might not have expected, and pushing somebody into the instant death room or something like that. It's just always very fun. I think actually it's another one of those games though where the base game is perfectly enough for me. I bought the season 2 expansion, which has like a few extra tiles. Yeah, so it's one of those that kind of, I think it adds more. It doesn't add any more complexity; it just adds more rooms, and you got like this robot room that you kind of have these NPC sort of type ones that go around, and you got some extra characters with extra different powers, and adds a robot room. So you've got these NPC type characters, robots that are roaming around, and things like that. And I think it just adds a little bit more time to the setup, a little bit more, that tiny bit of extra complexity that just did not need. So in much the same way as I don't really like playing Istanbul, for instance, with any of the expansions, because I think it detracts really from the simplicity and elegance of the original. Same with Room 25, and I think the season 2 kind of took it from being this very small box that was easy to play to being a chunkier one that was just a bit too cumbersome. But it still got a lot of rose-tinted respect from me for a game from 2013, Room 25.
So I've lost the page. It is our number 3s. So my 2018 would be Fireball Island: The Curse of Valkyr. I did kind of decide whether this or not was going to make number 3. I think someone else was fighting for that spot. Yeah, I really like this game. I don't know if it's the gimmick because you've got a massive big plastic mountain, mountain.
I love it. I love the components.
And the fact that you roll marbles down it and you're trying to knock stuff over. It comes in like lots of this. I've got all of it, apart from the last expansion they released, which never seemed to again come to the UK. But yeah, get it out, and we have fun. Especially the kids just love pouring the marbles down the Valkar himself, trying to knock me over. So yeah, it is just fun. You've got to take it as light-hearted fun. It could almost be classed as like a commercial game. It actually was in Smith's toy stores. I swear they were only selling the base game for like 13 quid.
Wow, that's kind of worth the money for what you get.
Definitely. I mean, I actually considered just purchasing it to get more stuff for it.
Yeah.
And I do wish they do another Kickstarter, if anything, just to have a bigger box and the expansion that are missing.
Yeah.
And maybe some upgraded components. I actually spent some money with Board Game Geek store and got upgraded little tokens to put on the mountain. All the treasure
That's cool.
Set collection tokens were all kind of cardboard before, but I got some plastic ones that are nice from Board Game Store, and yeah, it set it off a bit more. I've upgraded the marbles because the marbles they gave you were shocking. Even the deluxe marbles that they were giving you to all the Kickstarters were worse than the original marbles. They were like misshapen and all over the place, and I was just like, nope. So I think I went to near in Devon. We've got a place called the House of Marbles, and just brought new ones from there. So blinged that up even more.
Nice.
So yeah. 2018 Fireball Island.
To try. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, I'd love to try it at some point because it does look silly fun. That's like an end of the night silly fun game time.
Definitely.
Really. Cool. So my number 3 from 2018 is Cerebria, The Inside World, which is from Mind Clash Games. Caveat that I did work on the solo mode for this, so I am slightly biased. But I also really enjoy the multiplayer. I had nothing to do with the multiplayer. I just had designed the solo. So the multiplayer part of it, you are playing two opposing factions in someone's mind. It's kind of like the Pixar film Up. Not Up, sorry, no. Inside Out, that's the one. Where you're playing emotions. And you've got a Bliss faction and a Gloom faction. And so it's played in teams. For the most part, you can play 2 versus 1 with extra bits. And you are trying to make the best long-term memories by winning your personal and shared goals to put your memories in the central core, and they stack up in these called little hexagonal or kind of pentagonal plastic hexes that stack up. And it has a very clever mechanic of overlapping area control in a pentagonal loop around the board. And so you've got certain zones that give you powers if you control them, and you've got certain zones which give you influence on the center if you control them. You are playing emotion cards into these slots to power things up, but you have spirits like these big chunky 3D miniatures, which in my copy are all painted, which look beautiful. And they move around to let you invoke these emotions into the slots, and the emotions all have certain powers as well, and you can power them up and give them more strength. And you're basically trying to complete objectives that change every round, and you can score those objectives. Well, I say round, but you score at certain points in the game when a certain amount of resources are taken off the board. And you're vying for influence, and you're playing, and it's the team aspect is just so clever because you each control a spirit or your player character on the board, but you're working with your partner to try and get the right things, the right places, the right time to score your private goal and the shared goal as well, and you don't know what the other team is working their goal is, and you're trying to work out what they might be, but you're also trying to influence getting more points or getting more of your memories into the central core. It's a very complex game. It's one of the highest complex ratings. It's about 4.35 weighting on Board Game Geek, so it's very fairly very very thinky. But it does play. You can play it within 2 hours if you have a good teacher teaching it to you. If you're trying to learn it from scratch on your own, it will take a long time. But if someone teaches it you can play it easily in 2 hours. The solo, we managed to get down to an hour play time once you knew it, which is pretty darn good. Yeah, one that I really enjoy and one that I wish I could play more. But it's a fairly steep learning curve for the iconography because they've gone Mindclash style. Everything's icons and no text anywhere. So you have to learn a whole set of iconography, and they've named all the resources different things which don't really relate to what they are in physical form. They are just thematic names. So things like willpower and I've forgotten the other names out. It's been so long since I played it. But yeah, once you understand what all of those phrases are and what those things mean, then it's a wonderful game. Very beautiful. It's one I've thought about bringing to the group a number of times, but I think it would take too long to teach and play in the evening in the length of time we have. But it is a great game. I'd love to get to the table more. So that was my 2018 Cerebria.
Awesome. 2013, number 3 for me is another silly game. Coconuts.
Yay!
I
Little monkeys
absolutely love this game.
Coconuts into pots. What's not to like?
It's almost, as I say, a commercial game you'll find on like Tesco's shelves. It is basically
almost like Hungry Hippos, isn't it? It's like reverse Hungry Hippos.
Well, yeah, reverse Hungry Hippos in a way. You basically got this plastic monkey who has a catapult like arms, and you got rubber. They look like poops, but they're actually meant to be coconuts, rubber coconuts, oddly shaped. And you're basically trying to launch these coconuts into these baskets in the center of the table. And if they land in the basket, you take that basket, it's a cup shape, and put it onto a tree stump in front of you. You've got 3 tree stumps, and you're trying to build a pyramid shape up in front of you. So the first person to get to 6 cups stacked up wins the game. That's as simple as it is. There was red cups in there, which if you get a coconut in a red cup, you get another turn. You do, in my version, get player power cards, but to be honest, I've never used them. I don't see the point in them.
There's no need.
There's no need.
Such a you just play it for the fun, don't you?
It's and
strategy.
Anyone that comes around with young kids or kids, and they're looking at the games and they're saying, "I want to play one," I'll just say, "Let's just get coconuts out." They absolutely love it. Yeah. It's just crazy fun, and they're just flicking coconuts, and half the time they're not even aiming for the cups; they're just trying to aim for like everywhere else.
Yes.
The best thing about it is you can steal cups from other people. So when you see someone's building up a stack of cups, he's like, "Right, I'm going after my boy. He's got too many cups there." So then you're trying to flick it into each other's cup. And the great thing is, because they're rubber and they're oddly shaped, they bounce around really, really. So it could bounce into a cup, but bounce right out again, or bounce on the table and bounce into the cup. And like, it doesn't matter. It counts as long as it lands in the cup and stays in the cup. It's yours. You can even flick them into your own cups, because you only have a start with 8 coconuts each, and that's all you get for the round for the game. So, but it's shared, so you keep spreading these coconuts out, because the coconuts remain in the cups when they land in there, and you keep going until either someone gets 6 cups high, or there's no coconuts left to flick. And when that happens, you basically count up all the coconuts in your baskets in front of you, and whoever's got the most wins. So there's 2 great ways of winning. There's a quick way of building up, or there's just keep going until you run out of coconuts. And it is just great fun. It's so simple to teach. The components are like as durable as they survive a nuclear winter. And it's non-offensive, I don't think. and it's one of my great purchases
game.
off a Kickstarter. I do wish I.
Was it a Kickstarter back
It
in the
was.
day?
It
Wow.
was a Kickstarter. Do you know what? Really funny thing
2013
was.
Kickstarter.
Yeah, really funny. When I started getting into the game, I remember like watching the Dice Tower, and he put up this random. I think it was like when he was doing like his board game breakfast thing, and he just put up this random video of. I think it was in Korea. Of these people playing coconuts, and there was nothing to it. It was just music and this video of them, and I was like, that looks so good. I wish I'd get that game. And then a few years later, it's on Kickstarter, instant back-in, instantly got it through the door, brilliant fun. And they did do a expansion, basically a duet expansion, which could play 2-player, which you can do anyway, or add it up to 6. But then I've seen like pictures where people have put like 3 sets together, and they got like 12 people around the table just flicking coconuts into this massive swamp of cups stacked up on each other. It's just great fun. Unfortunately, people, every time I do play it with new people, they're like, I tried to look for it on like Amazon and that. I can't seem to find it. I've looked it up on Board Game Geek. It's gone to a new publisher. They're reprinting it without the player cards this time.
Right. Yep.
But I'm not sure when it's going to come to the UK again. So it's a shame.
Yeah.
I could have sold this game.
There's not much even on the geek market. There's no UK sales for that.
No. So it is a shame because I could have made it. If I was selling it as commission, I could have been a rich guy. But so yeah.
We might need to pay for your Marvel.
Yeah, I could do with that as well. So from the silly to party.
Yep. So my number 3 from 2013 is Sushi Go, which is the great card drafting sushi making game from Phil Walker Harding. And this has been a family favorite ever since it came out. My kids play it all the time, and they play it with their friends as well. And our set is so beat up, the cards have lost all their edging entirely, and they've made up their own variant rules for it and everything. But it's a superb little drafting game. So it uses the Seven Wonders style of drafting, where you have a hand of cards, you pick one, everyone reveals, and you pass the cards to the next person, and you keep going until all the cards have been drafted, and you've all got cards. And you're trying to build up sets of different types of sushi combinations. So you've got sashimi and nigiri and tempura, and add a bit of wasabi in there. And you get certain points for having certain sets of certain cards. And then you also have puddings, which you have to save to the very last round to score. So you get those over time. And all the sets score slightly differently. And it's just a lot of fun. It's easy to play, easy to learn. Lots of little promos available if you can find them. They're not generally very easy to find, the promos. It was re-released in 2016 as Sushi Go Party, which then had many more options for the cards that you then had to mix and match kind of your menu of which cards you were going to use in which game. And I played that one as well. That's nice. The one thing I don't like about Sushi Go Party is that you have to then separate them all out, all the cards again at the end, so you can and it takes long to set up because you have to choose everything. So I prefer the original because it's literally grab the box, shuffle up, start playing. It's superb.
Yeah, I know what you mean about the party one. That's what I was getting confused about because I think I played the party one more than the original. But I mean, once you get going on it, it's pretty good. But yeah,
once it's set up, it's exactly the same effectively. Just gives you more variety.
So my number 2 pick for 2018, a little bit left field, probably one that's very, very gotten under the radar for a lot of people, is a game called Ceylon, which is basically a tea farming and trading game, which is, I can't remember who publishes it. It's kind of a very, very under the radar type game, but it's got really nice artwork. The components are perfectly fine, but the gameplay is just really quite smooth. It's all kind of card based play, so you have a hand of, say, I think 3 cards, and each card has got like 2 options on it. So one might be selling tea and the other one might be planting tea or harvesting, and that sort of stuff. And you can choose which orientation or which way round it kind of works. But then you've got the race for the galaxy-ish kind of thing, where you get the action you want, but then everyone else gets to take the action from the bottom of the card. So while you're taking, say, you're planting tea, everyone else gets a chance to then maybe sort of employ one of the people on the board. You know, there's like these kind of extra NPC type character actions you can activate, or they can sort of sell tea or whatever. So everyone gets these. So it sort of keeps that pace of the game going quite nicely, and everyone's engaged that entire time. So it's not like someone's going, "Oh, what should I do if I do it this way or whatever?" Because as soon as they play their turn, everyone can start thinking, "Right, I know what action I've got now, so I'm gonna do that with my turn." And it just rips along really nicely. It's just like a nice, light kind of resource management-y sort of set collection-y kind of game, and I really like it. It's totally unexpected. I bought it purely because it had the name Salon and it's about tea, and at the time I was well into that. And so yeah, it's really good. I'd recommend people try it out.
Yeah, I've never even seen it, so
yeah. Well, it's totally under the radar game.
Yeah,
and I really like it. My 2013 pick, number 2 in 2013, is Firefly the game. Again, another one that's not been seen at the table for a few years, mainly because of COVID, I think, because it's one of those games where you really need to organise a day around it a little bit. But I've basically gone all in on it. I was given Firefly by my colleagues at Devon County Council when I left to set up my own business back in 2014, and I was a big Firefly fan, and they knew I was into board games as well, so they bought me Firefly the game as a leaving present, which was really nice. And since then I've added all the expansions. I've got the playmat. I've even had the company Basically Wooden. They've made me a custom box to put everything in. It's all fully bespoke. And so it's one of those games that will never leave the collection just for that. It's too expensive to even think about moving it. But it also means it won't get played very often because I have to carry it everywhere actually now, which probably makes it worse. But in terms of the game itself, I think it's, as a game, most people will probably think it's not that great. Then they're not necessarily wrong, but it really captures the essence of the show within a board game, and in a way that you're not having the most deeply strategic kind of experience when you're playing the game, but you feel like you're kind of in that Firefly universe, and the gameplay is adventuresome, I guess is the way to look at it. You're kind of zipping around, sort of conducting jobs for the sort of underworld characters of the universe, and trying to achieve whatever goal it might be. So there's a range of goals, sort of like the mission card, the main mission card, sort of outlines 3 phases, like a 3-act structure that you have to kind of follow. So you have to achieve a certain goals within Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, basically. All the while sort of avoiding either other players or the I can never remember what they're called now, Reapers or whatever they're called, and the Alliance Cruiser and stuff. And it's just a lot of fun. It's light. It takes a long time, which is a downside, but at the same time, if you we always organise a sort of an afternoon or a day around it and have fun. The only exception was one game where I can't remember what the combination of mission was now, but one of my friends was given the character that basically is allowed to recruit crew for her ship for free, and that broke because of the combination of that and the mission we had. Basically broke it because he was able to just recruit loads of crew all the time for nothing, at no money at all. And just rinsed us, and it kind of ruined it for us. In fact, I'm not even sure I've played it since, because it kind of left that much of a bad taste. But it's definitely still out of the list of games from 2013. It's one of those that I've got the most sort of affection for.
Yeah, I always remember the money in it because the money is paper, but it's like gorgeous. The design in it and everything like that. But it's been a while since I played it.
The component quality is really good. Even the miniatures and stuff are really good and well produced, and the board looks great. I mean, the card art, it uses stills from the TV show and stuff, but it works fine within the context of the game. It works absolutely fine and suits it very well.
So my number 2, 2018 now. this again is another Kickstarter. It is one of my wife's favourite games, and one of my favourite games from this publisher so far, and that is Dice Hospital. I'm really
Alicat Games, one of their earliest games, isn't it? I think it was.
Yeah, it's probably the second, maybe third. I know the first game came out and it was a bit of kind of like, oh, really? But yeah, I was pretty surprised. I mean, I took a hunch on this game because it was hospital based, and my wife had just qualified as a nurse. I didn't know whether she was taking it as offence, but we played it. She absolutely loved it. First game. And yeah, so it is one of those that if I say a game, she'd be like, oh, let's play Dice Hospital. It did come out with the expansions. We don't seem to play with them a lot. We just like core Dice Hospital. I mean, I might play the City one.
On its own, it's a great game.
It is. I like I do like the City track where you driving the ambulance around the city to pick up the passengers, pick up the patients, and the ones you don't pick up deteriorate, and if they deteriorate too far,
it's like a reflection of the modern world, isn't it?
Yeah. So I do kind of like that one.
Dear.
And if we have time, I add it in. But a standalone core game is still a great game. It is just you manipulating dice and stopping them from going below 1. And then trying to get out, a bit weird, you're trying to get as many dice out the door at once to score loads of points. So...
yeah, slight thematic disconnect for that.
Yeah.
Slight, small bits, but other than that...
yeah.
I agree. It's a great game.
So yeah, and I said, no game from them has actually trumped that since. A theme park, Dice theme park, I actually was on the playtest. And I had so many. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I was expecting more Dice Hospital, but even that, it just wasn't working for me. I just like, this ain't as fun.
So yeah, Dice Theme Park is a step up in complexity, and the combos you get with triggering things and having to keep track of stuff. I think.
Yeah.
It was a bit too much. Whereas Dice Hospital is just simple and pure, and it just works. It's great.
Definitely. So yeah. Dice Hospital.
Very nice.
2018.
Good choice. My number 2 for 2018 is Petrichor. Now, another caveat: I did do playtesting on this on the base game.
It's just an opportunity to get your games out there, isn't it? Huh?
I very rarely say this, but I didn't. I just playtested the base game. I didn't do development on it. I did solo development on the expansions, but the base game I just did playtesting, and so that's probably why it's so high up in my my list of games. Is that I played it a huge amount when I was playtesting. I probably have over 60 or 70 plays of the game. And what I like about this, just to give an overview, is you are playing as elements of the weather, trying to influence crops growing, and it's an area control on the crop tiles on the board. But in more detail, you are creating clouds with your water drops, which are little glass beads, coloured glass beads, which are just lovely. You're moving the clouds around the fields, and then you're raining the clouds onto the tiles to make the crops grow. And each tile is a different type of crop, which has a different type of scoring for the area control. So some are the most drops there gets you the most points, and then descending points. Or some of them have you just score for how many people are on the tile. Some of them score more if you trigger weather effects on them at certain times. So it can be a very mean game in that you can go and snipe someone else's scoring opportunity really without them realizing. You can just sneak in there and suddenly get like 10 points. So you have to pay attention to what's going on, and it's a beautiful production. But yeah, it has that little cutthroatness, so just be careful if you don't like cutthroat games. But it also has like a double area control, so you're not just vying for control on each of these plant tiles, but you're also vying for control on what's called a voting track, which is really you're trying to affect a major weather event at the end of every round, and whichever Whether event has the most and second most votes on gets triggered out of the 4 options, which have a big effect on what's happening on the board. And if you have most control of those 2 that are chosen, then you get extra points as well. And you're trying to get the most points from harvests, which happen every so often during the game, where you then clear off the tiles. And I really love it. It's a lovely game if you like area control games. It has a lot of thinkiness on it. The expansions add a lot of extra fun things in, and the promos add some fun things in. But just the core game as it is really, really lovely. Really lovely game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played it. Have you played it, Joel?
No, I haven't. No, and I was a little bit disappointed because it doesn't seem to be, because you got these clouds that hover around. I would have thought they giving you some kind of plastic stilts to put them on, so they actually hover.
Well, funnily enough, as you mentioned, that was a common request originally, and so when they came out with the revised kind of big box version, which came along with the cows expansion, they came along with plastic clouds that had plastic stands on, so they do float above the clouds in that deluxe version. I made my own ones out of the little pizza tables you get in pizza boxes to keep the lid from squashing onto the pizza. I bought a load of those, like 100 of those, for about £3 on eBay, and then just stuck some magnets on them and on the clouds, and so they just sat on the little pizza tables, and that worked beautifully for ages.
Yeah, I see some people got some kind of looks like miniature tables. Someone looks like they've cut the bottoms off of plastic wine cups.
Yeah, I think people got like stands from various other games, which things like Eclipse, where you have ships that hover above the board.
Yeah.
So they used some of those.
Yeah.
Because when they hover, that is really nice. Because then you can see all the scoring details on the tiles and stuff. But yeah, beautiful production. I will have to play it with you at some point.
Definitely. My 2013 number 2. I just changed this. If Nick didn't see.
Oh, you did? Sneaky.
I kept on umming and ahhing this, but my first choice was Russian Railways. And that's only because I loved it when I played it. And I've been playing it. I played it, well, not recently actually, but Board Game Arena's got it, and I played it loads when it came out on that. But I think this one now pipped it because I was fluttering between the 2, and it's Francis Drake. Now, my friend, other Lewis, up north Devon Lewis, he introduced us to this game, and we had a raucous time each time. It is a 2-part game. You've got the shopping part, which actually has that track of you can only go in one direction and go shopping and buy all the stuff you need for your voyage. And then you have your second part where you're going on the voyage and you've got to spend your supplies, and and it's kind of area control, but trying to go as far as possible, not without spending too much, and surviving. I'm struggling to remember that part now, but I just remember how much fun. And there was always a joke of using your pinnace to invade in the back end of a fort. Take that as you will. So, yeah, great times. Played it loads and loads of times. Not as much as I've played Russian Railways now, but then I did. Because it was like we used to go around Paul Grogan's house for weekends for his room meets at the time, and like when Lewis brought that along, I knew for like one weekend we must have played it 3 or 4 times. It was like so good, and had such a laugh. And yeah, I always remember doing quite well on it. So yeah, great game. It's one I've never owned.
Played it.
You've never owned? Played it? I've never owned it.
I've never played it. I know of it, but I've never had the opportunity to try it.
Yeah, it's my one game on here that I don't own. Funny enough, never owned. I had the opportunity because actually that Lewis sold up his Francis Drake, even though he had blinged it out as well. He said, "I'm selling it. I don't play it anymore." I was like,
yeah. Well, if you get too outplayed, to play it out, then fair enough. But Yeah, interesting.
So
Interesting
yeah.
one.
Number 213 or
So
13?
my number 2 of 2013 is The Phantom of the Opera,
Hmm.
or Le Phantom de l'Opéra, as it is under Board Game Geek's naming. So this is a 2-player only game from Bruno Cathala and Ludovic Bonblanc, the classic design duo. And this is in the same the same thematic. No, that's the wrong word as well. It's the same kind of design as the Mr. Jack series.
Okay.
Which is very, very similar to Mr. Jack, where this is kind of this hidden movement type game where one person's chasing the other person and trying to catch them, and the other person's trying to escape, and they have different powers for moving. And this one is the one that I like the theme a lot more than trying to find Jack the Ripper. This one is you're trying to find out who the Phantom of the Opera is in the opera house before he scares the diva away, who has come to perform. I play this with my kids a lot. They really enjoy it. They beat me at it quite often now. And what you have in this version is you have a number of, I think you have 8 characters who are distributed around the opera house, and each of them have a special power. And each round you get, so you have the Inspector and the Phantom, the 2 characters that the 2 players are playing. You get an Inspector turn, then 2 back-to-back Phantom turns, and an Inspector turn, and then it all reverses. So you then get 1 Phantom turn, 2 Inspector turns, 1 Phantom turn, and in between each round, the Phantom has to say whether they can manifest, which means that they are either completely alone or in the dark.
Right.
And if they can, then they scare the diva a certain number of spaces. And if they can't manifest, then the diva moves slightly less far, and that's based on how many people you have eliminated from possibility. And my mind's gone blank. I'm staring at the picture, trying to remember what all the characters do at the moment. And so the Inspector is trying to get people into kind of clumps of half of them being together and half of them being separate, so that then when the Phantom says they can or can't manifest, you can flip all the other ones over because you know they're innocent. And it's this push-pull of trying to separate them and trying to keep them apart, and then the Phantom trying to get them all together or get them all apart. And the player powers do various things like locking doors or moving the darkness. The young girl can use all the secret passages. There are one of the singers can pull all the people in the adjacent rooms into her room. There's one of the guys we call the Grumpy Man, who shouts a lot, and then he makes everyone else go out of the room that he's in. And you're vying using all these different powers between each other, you choosing each of the characters in turn. And it's a lot of fun. It's works very well for even my 10-year-old will be able to play this quite happily. It says 9+ on the age limit, which is about right. It plays legitimately in about 25-30 minutes. And we will often play 2 or 3 rounds in a go, just swapping who's the Inspector and who's the Phantom. Very enjoyable game.
Yeah, it's just there's a weird picture on the Board Game Geek, and I was like, "What's that? It's planets." But someone's made a Star Wars version.
Oh, they made a Star Wars version.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
I'll have to look at that. Oh yeah, yeah. Yes, with all the planets.
right, before we do our number ones, we're going to do our worst game. Now,
the grumpy moment.
the grumpy moment.
Okay, so little interruption for the worst game of either of those 2 sets of years. I am going to give it 2, and I'm basing this. I mean, there's a lot of worse games, I'm sure. If I go all the way to the list, go through the list of all the games in 2013 and 2018, probably a lot worse ones in terms of technicality. But for me, the worst game is Bora Bora. I remember, I got it at UK Games Expo as a trade, and it might have been my first UK Games Expo, which would have been 2014, I think. And it's one of those things where you're in like early discovery of board games. And I was like, the Stefan Feld. Everyone talks about Stefan Feld games being amazing, and I looked at the artwork for board, the cover, the artwork to some degree, Bora Bora. I thought, Bora Bora, that sounds cool. And they've got a really colourful kind of island board and the little house meeple thing, the little hut tokens and stuff, and the flower score track and stuff. It looks quite nice, and I'll give it a go. Oh my god, the most boring, energy sapping game I've ever experienced. I mean, it's the first game that really made me realise what people mean when they say point salad, because it felt like it didn't matter what you did, you were just going to get points, and it was who was more efficient in getting those points. And it made me realise that there's mechanical games and there's thematic games, and I think this was one of the first times I've really experienced that in my game playing. Before then, I'd sort of randomly bounced around games that I'd heard were good and were trying them out and was really enjoying them. And this was the first time I'd had a really negative experience with a game that I'd been told was good. So yeah, this was, for me, it's easily the worst game out of those two, out of the 5 and 10 year brackets, or in terms of the experience I had playing it.
Yeah, I mean, I said to you when you put it into the list, it's like, this is third on my worst games list. It was one of the first ones that appeared when we searched the year. I was like, oh yeah, I've got to put that in. But then I went further through the list. I was like, no, this game beats it. And I go further. Oh, actually, this game beats it. And I was just like, oh. So yeah, I had quite a few in this year of 2013 that could have been my worst. But this got pipped.
Yeah,
so it's got that.
I will have a very quick look at 2018 just to see what I might pick if I did one for each one. I've only sort of picked out that one as like the worst. I'm having a very, very quick look to see if there's anything that stands out to me. I mean, I'll tell you, again, I'll go for a high profile one actually, and it's not much it's for the similar reason to Bora Bora. What I would pick for 2018's worst game would be, and again based on the fact that it's quite high ranking within the Game Geek rankings, is Space Base. I find it mind-numbingly boring.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I like Machikoro. I like the simplicity of it. Yes, sometimes you get the sucky bit of, I don't get anything this turn or whatever, and I realise that. But I think the reason that this one stood out as something was because Tom Vassell always goes on about how amazing it is and he loves it. And I played it and I was just like, is this all it is? And it's just I think I realised that I've fed up with these games where you just end up having an endless tableau of stuff and it all triggers random things. And it's a bit like when you play King of Tokyo with the power-up expansion. It's too much too much admin of, this does this and I can do, that triggers that, which means I can do this, and then I've got this that I can put on this. So, oh god, no, just Machikoro's simplicity was, I roll the thing and I get some money. I roll the thing and I can, do whatever it is, And I think Space Base just ramped it up to a point that it became way too much for the type of game that you're playing for my money. Plus, I really hate the artwork and stuff. I think it's a taste thing, but I really hated it. So it's just a bit too cartoony and it's just too much of a non-entity. It's too much of an abstract thing, really. I think. But yeah, so that's what I would pick, and that's based purely on the experience I had playing it, and also the rank that it's at. Again, there's probably a lot worse games, but because that one's ranked so highly, that's why it stands out as one I don't like.
Oh wow! I only just played it last night, so I don't know. Never mind.
But again, it may be just one of those things where it's like the experience playing it that one time was just a bad one, and I should try again. But ultimately, I don't feel myself wanting to go back to that at all. But yeah,
I had to put this in because when I was looking for the list of games, one stood out, and I was like, I've got to put the worst game in. Here's thing. Again, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to get two in here. The first choice was BioShock Infinite, The Siege of Columbia. Now, this was on the back of the video game coming out, and I was enjoying it. Plaid Hat were in there, what you call like supreme of making board games with Dead of Winter and a couple other things. And I thought there's going to be this going to be like hit out the park again, especially with the video game being out. And I just remember playing it. I thought, this is bad. I hate this. This is terrible. But this wasn't my worst game. The worst game from 2013. And I weren't going to put it on there because I didn't get it in 2013. It was a Kickstarter which released in 2013. We actually played it in 2013. But I didn't actually get the real game in probably until 2015. And that was
Wow.
2 Rooms and a Boom. 2 Rooms and a Boom, I shouldn't have backed it. I spent about 50 quid on it. So this is going to be amazing. What they also did, right from the beginning, even day one of the campaign on Kickstarter, is they put the print and play files up. Not just a small section of it, all of it. So when someone saw that I backed it from our group that we used to play with on Tuesday nights, he went and printed it all. So then he was like, oh yeah, I saw you backed it, so I printed it out, thought we'll give it a game. I was like, okay, fair enough. So we played it. It's a good game. We enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But because he printed it all out, we now had the game. And then we were playing it nearly every week. And then by the time it finished, and I was like, I'm just going to stick with it because it is a good game. We're enjoying it. Once we had the real thing where I had proper cards and things like that. No, it was died a death by then. And then, yeah, and then the updates, and if you go back and read some of the updates, were appalling by today's standards of updating in Kickstarter. It wasn't professional. It's almost like they were monologuing their thoughts in their head half the time.
Wow.
And it was excuses after excuses. It's a frigging card game. Print cards, send it to your backers. Not take 2 years doing this.
That is a long time for.
It was ridiculous. And they were even.
If they had the print and play ready, they clearly had the majority of the artwork and the layout done.
I really don't know what happened because there's so many updates. They were pretty giving you an update every week. And you just got lost in it all. And what really stuck out for me on this was just before I received it, it was on Amazon for £15.
Oh. And you backed it for 50.
£15. Yes, the whole lot was all there.
Wow.
I mean, I was getting, they were promising like music, sound. I can't even think now.
Yeah, soundtracks.
I'm so furious. I can't think. There's like soundtracks and they're doing all this stuff. I don't think I got any of that in the end. I got the box and all I wanted to do was burn it. And I nearly came close to burning it and filming it and just saying, that's what I think. And if anyone shows me a box now, I think that's what I would do. Luckily, our very old friend, Tom, who started the podcast, he actually took it off my hands and saved it because he actually said, I could take this away and play it with friends that I go away with. I said, be my guest, please. Just, I'm done with this. I've never felt so much hate towards a game, and everything they do now is just
And that's kind of it's sad in a way that that's the publisher, not the game. That's kind of caused you to hate the game, isn't it? Which is because I've played 2 Rooms of Boom a number of times back in 2015 or so when it came out. And it was we had a lot of good time. We played with like 20-30 people. It was a very clever, big group game. But yeah, I had no idea about the Kickstarter issues at that point.
No.
So that's it's a shame.
You were the lucky one. I mean, if I'd like just ignored it and then just I'll just wait for it to come out. If I'd known about the Amazon, I was just I would have bought that 15 quid on Amazon and nothing to it, and probably we would have played it. But because I went through that whole rigmarole, 2 years waiting for a card game to be delivered. That was already print and play right from the beginning. They shouldn't have released it as print and play or a snapshot of what you can do with the print and play.
You release a cut down version.
But they had all of it.
Like 10 players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they had all of it on there. And they gave out all the rule
for
book.
A card game, it makes.
And I should have. I think I probably am more annoyed with myself that I should have just thought.
You could have asked for a refund or something.
I could have just looked at it and said, there's the print and play. Why do I need to spend 50 quid on it? But I think it's because they were offering so much else towards it. And say, we'll give you this and do that and do this and do that. And then in the end, I don't think I got half of it. Unless I just missed it all. I was so annoyed with it. But
Yeah. Blocked the email address by that point.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, rant over.
So my worst game is not quite that vitriolic. So my worst game is kind of the opposite of Cerebria. This is Cerebria, the card game, which was came with the Cerebria Kickstarter. It was like an extra add-on for like $15 or something. And this was kind of meant to be a very much cut down version of just cards and the little gem tokens in the same thematic universe, using very much the same artwork. It came with a nice little metal coin as well, in a small little tuck box. Not a tuck box, but in a small little card box. And it just didn't give me any of the feel of the big game Cerebria at all. It was, I don't know if it was just too simple, but I just didn't feel any fun in playing it. It was weird. And I know the designer, the Friedrich, what's his last name? Friedrich Schobel. He helps out with he works in Mindclash, and he's a lovely chap, lovely guy. So I feel bad saying this about this. I think it was like his first published game. But yeah, I didn't enjoy playing it. It didn't have any heart to it. I felt it mechanically it worked, but beyond that, it was lacking. And I don't want to say completely lacking fun, but it was for me lacking any fun. I didn't feel like I played it once and I thought just not interested in playing that again. And so sold it on quite happily for a small profit, which was good. So yeah, it was a disappointment, I think, more than a dreadful game. And as I said, it works mechanically, but I just didn't enjoy it. So it was a shame.
And our number ones.
Okay, so number one, 2018, and it's a crossover with Joel. I have picked Quacks of Quedlinburg. I mean, probably for much the same reason as you.
I mean,
said,
yeah,
Joel.
I didn't. You're here. I won't go into it much because it gets talked about quite regularly. I think I described my first game of it as just being a raucous time at UK Games Expo and had so much fun, and still now I have fun. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's because it's push your luck, which is one of my favourite mechanics in a game anyway. I love the push your luck mechanic and the way it works. And it's a fairly light theme, but it works perfectly in this, where you're adding ingredients to your potion, and as you sort of do you risk one more bit and pull it out, and oh no, it's blown up, and now my potion's ruined. It's very stupid, but it kind of works really well. And I think that's the thing. Everyone when they play it kind of gets behind that sort of theme a little bit of just go one more. Oh, good, yeah, that's good. Oh, one more. You've got the little rat mechanic thing that goes around, and yeah, it's just a really fun time to play. And again, it doesn't take very long, does it? You're talking about an hour or so, and it's plenty. For that kind of game, it's the real sweet spot. The only ones, I mean, looking at doing the research for this list made me realize how many good games actually came out in 2018 though.
Both years, isn't it? I mean,
yeah. Well, especially 2018. I mean, I didn't really have. There were plenty of picks I could have had for 2013, but 2018 there's a whole bunch, including ones I've not played yet that I would definitely like to play. So I could easily have picked Underwater Cities. I really enjoyed that. That's about as heavy a game as I like, but that was really good. Everdell I quite like. I have only played it a couple of times, but I mean that stands out as one of the big releases. The red herring one was Brass Birmingham, and that's the only reason I didn't pick that is because as we've discussed on the show many times, I much prefer Brass Lancashire, the original design. Otherwise, that would have probably been in there. And then you've got things like Architects of the West Kingdom, really good worker placement game. Decrypto, one of my favourite sort of party style games. There's tons of good stuff. So yeah, really good year for games, I think.
And your number one for 2013?
My number one for 2013 is definitely the smallest game of our lists. It's Skull King. One of my absolute favourite mechanics in any game is trick taking, and this is basically pirate-themed version of one of my family's favourites, which is Contract Whist, where you have to basically predict how many tricks you're going to win. But this one's got, I mean, the scoring is a mess, and I always forget how to do it. We have to check every single time. But the fun you get playing this, it just adds. The pirate theme is almost meaningless. But they added one thing, which is when you bid for your tricks, you have to do it with your fingers as like an instant. Everyone bids at the same time. Normally in these contract whist games, you sort of start with left of the dealer starts, and you all bid, and then the end dealer. So the dealer is the last to bid, and they can't bid a number that would make the number of tricks that have been bid on equal to the number of players, or number of cards in the. So if you had, as an example. If there were 10 cards in your hand, you can't end up with a total of 10 tricks in most sort of contract or bidding style trick taking games. In Skull King, that doesn't matter, but you all have to bid at the same time, and you have to do it by kind of holding your hand out, and then when everyone's ready, you go yo ho ho, and then put out the number of fingers that you, the number of tricks you're going to win. And it's stupid, and you look a bit of an idiot doing it in the pub, but with the group we've got, everyone gets behind it, and it's the big part of the fun is just to do that. So easily the game I've played the most from 2013, I'd say, and easily the one that we have still to this day the most fun playing.
Again, one I've not played and would like to play sometime. But
yeah, well, I'll never need much. I'll never need much persuasion to get out of the bag. It's one of those that's permanently in my game bag. Basically, it's just there all the time, just in case. And it does get played quite frequently.
Awesome. Well, maybe bring it along to the weekend.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks, Sam. And yeah, that was a pretty good list.
Well, different at least.
It was different. Yeah, you brought some unique games to it, definitely.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to do my two in flowing order because 2018, back to back. 2018 is basic Quacks of Quedlinburg. Now, I remember playing this at UK Games Expo. I don't know if that year or the year before. I don't know. I can't remember. It must have been that year. And played it with the Pegasus Spill guys. After we played Captain Sona against them.
Oh, really?
And we lost really badly. Then everyone else disappeared, and we were left with the main guy of Pegasus Spill. Oh, what's his name? I know his name. Anthony, I think. I might be wrong. And another person. So it's me, Lewis, and these two people from Pegasus Spill. And they said, "Do you want to play Quacks?" So I was like, "Oh yeah, we've seen it. Like it was on Meeple's Corner shelves, but it was in German." And they're saying, "Yeah, we can teach you and show you." And they got it out, and they taught us. Oh, we had a raucous time. It was so funny, especially when you they said, "Oh, when you pull a pumpkin out, you got to shout pumpkin." So that's what we did in the middle of the hall, pumpkin. Brilliant, every time. Brilliant. And that's what I do now. Every time I play now, I just still go, pumpkin. And everyone just looks at me like, why are you doing that? I said, because I pulled a pumpkin out.
It's in the rules.
It's in the rules, I got told. Anyway.
Yeah.
But we also did it that we actually revealed throughout the game, just put our hands out and just revealed like we're doing a blind bid kind of thing. I don't know why we did that, but you only meant to do that on the last round, but we did that throughout the whole game. It was just so much fun. We had such a great time, and because they could read the German anyway, so it was no holds barred then.
Yep.
I think I picked up a German copy, but then sold it on because the event cards are in German with no kind of picture to help with context. So I sold that pretty soon afterwards, and then brought an English version, and now I've got all the expansions, and played it the other night with all the expansions, and loved every minute of it. So that's Quacks of Quedlinburg 2018. And 2013, and again, this is the big thanks to Lewis from up North Devon. He introduced this to me at probably the same weekend as Francis Drake weekend. And I think this was the last game we played at the weekend. and I was just like, oh, really? We're making
A game
dresses.
about dressmaking.
Yeah, really? You're going to make me play this after the weekend? Fine, okay. And oh, wow, I loved it. Absolutely brilliant.
I don't think you said the name of the game. It's Rococo.
It's Rococo, yes. Sorry. It's Rococo. A dressmaking game.
Well-named dressmaking game.
Yeah, basically, it's kind of deck building, but you're also area controlling the palace, and you're trying to gather resources to make dresses to sell to nobles or put on nobles that are attending. Was it King Louis 16? No, I can't remember now. One of the kings of France, who's having a party.
15th, yeah, Louis the 15th.
Louis the 15th having a party at his palace.
I looked it up. I didn't know that.
You could have got away with that.
Yeah, I know all the French kings.
There weren't many of them.
All the Louis.
They're all Louis.
There's at least 16 of them.
Yeah, so you're basically trying to get dresses on people or suits on men into this palace, and it's area control, because the more you have of your person in rooms or the palace, the more points you gain at the end of the game. So it's area control. It's pretty good like that. It could have been any other film theme, warlike area control, but no, it's dressmaking, and it's that.
It's a great theme.
And I just sat there going, I'm enjoying every moment of this. This is great. Oh, you bastard! You took that area I wanted. Oh, you don't want to go there. I want to go there.
No, don't take the silk. I need the silk.
Yes, things like that. And I do like how stuff depletes and it gets cheaper for you.
Yeah.
And then there's also things like you're kind of deck building, but you can flush out old cards as well. And it comes round. I can't remember what happens now. It's been a while, but yeah. You can buy cards that you can use that turn, so you can actually up your turn by getting new cards into your hand. But then they might be your deck gets too big, you might not have a chance of seeing that card again, because you only draw 3 up each round. So yeah, it's great. Again, that was Lewis's game. He actually sold his to me at the same time he was trying to sell Francis Drake. So I was just like, I don't need both.
Which one did you take? Yeah.
Well, I took Rococo because it's my favourite out of it. I was gutted he didn't get the expansion, even though Meeple's Corner was trying to sell it off. I wish I bought it then. But they did bring out the deluxe version, which also sits...
Did you get the deluxe?
Oh, I did. All in deluxe.
Yay. Amazing.
So
I played Ian's copy of the deluxe. It's lovely.
It is lovely.
Really lovely.
And the wife enjoys it as well. So that's a bonus. So yeah, I've actually still got both. I was actually going to put the original into a shadow box. I was going to play a game with it, and then the final finish, I was going to put into a shadow box and put on the wall, because
that's a nice idea.
I actually quite like the original art.
Oh, the artwork's lovely. Michael Menzel art.
Yeah,
it's just lovely. Yeah. Really
I mean,
nice.
Ian O'Toole is the new artist on the new Rococo, but I feel it's a bit washed out compared to
personally, I prefer the old artwork.
Yeah, me too.
As good as Ian O'Toole is, he's on too much at the moment. Too much of my liking. So yeah, I prefer the original artwork. I like Michael Menzel's artwork. It's really good.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still the same game as the original. Yeah. You get the expansion. You get lots of extras. It's great. It's still like that. I just wish they kept the original artist. Maybe like paid him a bit more. Said, "Come on, soup it up a bit. Let's go with it." But no, Ian O'Toole seems to be like the must-have at the minute, and he's very adaptable. I have to give him that. He is. His art works everywhere. Sometimes you wouldn't even know it's Ian O'Toole, where other artists, that you instantly see it and you think that's so and so art.
Vincent Dutrait.
That's him. You got it. Yeah.
And the Miko as well.
Oh, but I like Miko's art. even Mendel's. Michael Mendel. Is it Michael Mendez?
Michael Menzel.
Mendel, yeah. He's got similar. I think Ian 2 is the only versatile one that will adapt to the game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He adapts the theme, he adapts the game, and he will change his art style to it, which is great.
Oh, indeed. Yeah.
Oh,
he's very talented.
Very talented.
Yeah.
And if I could, and if I made a board game, I would love to have him do artwork just for this. Yeah. Just like the one game, I wanted it to work. It didn't work.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Great choices.
Anyway, yep. So they're my two.
So my number ones. So my 2018 choice is Architects of the West Kingdom, which is designed by S.J. McDonald and Shem Phillips, published by Garfield Games. And as we were just mentioning, the artist by the Miko.
Yeah.
For this, and this is my pick mainly because it's one of my daughter's favourite games. She absolutely loves it, and she and I will play it quite regularly. And we can now play a two-player game probably in under 40 minutes, including setup and teardown, which is amazing for the weight of game it is. And it's just a lovely Euro-style game with worker placement, which I also love, some card play. It has a unique worker placement mechanism where you keep adding more workers to spots to get higher rewards for keeping them there. But if you put too many in a spot, you risk the other player then going and catching those people and put them in jail, and you then have to go and bail them out of jail. So it's got an interesting push-pull. You can get situations where you spread yourself so thin that the other players don't want to capture your people, and you run out of people, and then you're stuck. You have to do inefficient turns getting your workers back. But it's got nice little engine builds with the cards that you can, the people you can hire and the buildings that you build. It's got the very nice artwork from Lamiko. I think it's the simplest of the West Kingdom games with Paladins and Viscounts. Paladins considerably more complicated, and Viscounts I think is slightly in the middle of those two. But Architects I feel is probably the cleanest of the three. And yeah, one of I think probably my favourite Shem Phillips design as well. So yeah, great game.
My first game of it didn't go well because a rule got taught wrong, and I actually discussed this on the podcast because it actually put a bad taint in my mouth. I was like, I don't want to play it again, and it wasn't until I was Mark, our one and only listener. He brought the game. He read the rule book. He says, no, they taught you that rule wrong. I was like, you what?
Yep.
He goes, come on, we'll play it. So we sat at the first GridCon. He taught me the real rules. I was like, oh, this is so much better. This is a great game now.
Yeah, that playing that wrong would ruin it. Yeah, it would break it completely. So my number one from 2013 is Lewis and Clark, The Expedition. And artist again, Vintage Traits. There we go, another one we mentioned. And this designed by Cedric Chabousit. And this is a game where you are racing from one side of the United States to the other. Back in 1803, it says. So you're trying to you're on the Lewis and Clark expedition, trying to chart a pathway from the east coast of America to the west coast, to prove that it can be done effectively. And then and the way you're doing this is you're building up kind of deck building where you're buying cards into your deck, but you have to play cards. One of the cards will be the action you're doing, and another card will be how strong that action is. So you're kind of always trying to pair up the cards to get actions, and you're gathering resources to then build equipment, which is either canoes or hire horses and things, to get up the river and then over the mountains, and then they take certain amounts of time to get over each of them. And you are trying to, it is, at its base, is a race game to see how quickly you can get across. But the twist is that any time that you run out of cards, you then have to rest and make camp. And if you have too much stuff left in your boats at that point, or too many cards left in your hand when you camp, you move backwards along the river. And you're always kind of going as far as you can, and then you drop back a little bit, and as far as you can, and drop back a bit. And it's little push-pull, and everyone's jostling for position all the way through. It's such a clever game, and it's with vintage trait art, it's just beautiful to look at, and all the cards. One I very much enjoy, and again, another that I don't get to play nearly enough, but a very good game.
Wasn't there
I don't know if you played this one, Joel.
Right, I'm trying to remember because there was a Lewis and Clark game I played, which I loved at the beginning.
So this is there was another one which is a dice-based version,
Right.
which is Lewis and Clark, the Journeys of Lewis and Clark, I think.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a very streamlined version of this. It doesn't have resources. It's just card play, effectively.
So this is the one I have played, and I thought it was great the first few times, and then I hated it afterwards. Mainly because it took so long to play. So you don't want to play with more than 3 players.
Yeah, you definitely don't play at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, playing at 4. If you play with 4 with all the people who know it and are not slow at choosing their actions, then it will play easily in 2 hours. If some of them have a bit of analysis paralysis, it will run long.
And then I think there's other. I think that whole thing of when you rest, you move backwards depending on what you've got. Things like that was just irritating.
Yeah, so they actually changed that rule slightly in the revised edition, which is the copy I've got now, where you don't go backwards anymore, but you do gain time tokens that effectively offset where you end up at the very end of the race.
Right.
So you then have to try and get a little bit further along to offset the fact you've got these time tokens. And they changed that specifically because people were saying it. And when you first play it, or the first few times you play it, it is very easy to accidentally end up having to go, you make 3 steps of progress and you get knocked 5 back. And so you've actually made negative progress. And you have to play the game knowing that you have to aim very much to not drop back very much at all in order to win. And sometimes you can get stuck and you get a bit frustrated by it. Once you play it enough, though, you work out how to get around that. You can play specifically to that. But yeah, for the first few plays, it can be quite punishing. And that's one of the rules they changed, is that you don't fall back, but you do offset your final position, basically. I love it for the mechanic. The mechanics are just so clever in the design about how they combo together. And that's what I like most about it, I think, is the cleverness of the design.
So that's it. That's our top 3 games from 2013, 2018. Hope you enjoyed that. Do comment whether we got it right or anything else, or whether I'm wrong about. Yeah, and come to the Discord and have a chat along with it. Any other business? I'm the only one that's put something in there. So if you thought my life was pointless playing a cleaning game where I'm power hosing down stuff, I found an even better game that hasn't sucked up as much time as that did, but this game is called Unpacking.
I'm going to guess, you just spend the whole time unpacking stuff?
Yes!
Oh, my word.
It's amazing. It's brilliant. Oh. Especially if you've got OCD and everything's just got to be in the right place. Yeah. So quite literally, I stumbled across this game because Game Pass does this thing where you collect points, not the achievement points, but gaming points that you can cash in and get money back, vouchers and things like that. And I just love, sometimes it just say play this, so you literally just need to start it up, and you'll get it unlocked. But it started up, and I was just like, I'm going to see what it is, because it was like funky kind of 16-bit kind of pixel art.
Oh, it's kind of isomorphic angles for.
Yeah, and it is quickly open a cardboard box, and you're pulling random stuff out, and it goes, oh, it's a slipper. I'll put it over here. Oh, it's a Rubik's Cube. Oh, that can go on the desk. Oh, it's a rubber. I'll put that on the desk too. Oh, it's a book. I'll put this up on the shelf. And you're just doing that. You're pulling random stuff out. And there's no real challenge to it. There's a few challenges like solve the Rubik's Cube, which is basically press B while you're hovering over it, and it will solve it. But there's a story behind it. and it's actually quite
Right.
a nice, quaint story. And there's no real context to it. You know, it's a female, because of the stuff of the first. So you start off in your kid's teenage bedroom, and you must have just moved there with your parents, and you're unpacking it all. And then you move and you go to college, and you're unpacking it. But then you might have your bathroom too, so you're unpacking stuff in that. And then you move into your boyfriend's house, who's already there, but you're trying to fit your stuff in as well. And you see some of the same bits keep coming out of the boxes. I was like, oh yeah, that's still coming with her. I said, that rubber's not being used because that's the same one she had when she was a kid. And there's
I'm
like
watching the video now on Steam.
Yeah. Oh no, you don't move
I can
in.
see why.
You move in with your best mate after college into like a shared house. Then you move in with boyfriend, and then you move back to your kid's bedroom, and you think, oh, well, it mustn't have gone well moving with a boyfriend.
Wow. Yeah.
And then you finally move out of that and go to your own little place, and then you do that level. You're unpacking your own place, and next minute you're unpacking someone else's stuff into your place, and you're like, oh, I see where this story's going. This is lovely. I'm enjoying this. I'm fed up of putting knickers away in the drawer, but let's carry on. I'm so sick of putting knickers away in the drawer. And yeah,
that sounds
it's great. It's
you can
really
put a toaster in the bath and everything. Oh.
Yeah. That's achievement, isn't it? Putting electric good in a dangerous place. Yeah. You could, like, things have to be in a certain place. You just can't unpack boxes and put them anywhere. But you can put on the cheat mode, which is basically anything can go anywhere. So if you really wanted a quick 1,000-point gamers on score for achievements, you could do this in pretty much an hour. You could do it. Wow. You just go in, you unpack everything, you put it anywhere, and you move on to the next level. The other like hidden achievements are quite easy to do. Like I said, solve the Rubik's Cube, make the because she's an artist, make the artist figure do a dab position.
Love it.
And yeah, it's not hard. It's quaint. It's relaxed. They call it a Zen game, and you can kind of see it because you just sit there and you mong out for like the time you're doing it. And if you've got OCD, it can get a bit painful where you're like, I want to put this in here, but it won't go in this. So yeah, that's unpacking. I think you could get it pretty much everywhere else, but I played it on Xbox.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's on Steam, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. Not
cool.
Mobile, unfortunately.
No. So yeah.
But yeah, my daughter would love that game.
I think
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
She's very neat and everything has to have its place and folded nicely. So yeah, she would love that doing that.
You got nothing to add?
No, I've not thought of anything in the last 2 minutes. So
okay.
We can call it a night.
Call it a night. The next episode will be our review episode. We're hoping to review a newish game, not even out on the market yet, and that is Earth by Inside Up Games. We can play it on Board Game Arena. Well, anyone can play it on Board Game Arena if you've got Alpha Pass. So hopefully we're going to get a few games of that in the next couple of weeks and give our thoughts on it. So yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. And that's it. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Any thoughts, suggestions of what we can do for our next top 3 games or next review game you want to hear, then send them in. You can go to Discord, YouTube, even our website, and leave a comment. And yeah, I'd just like to say thanks, Nick, for giving up your time and doing this podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. Good fun.
See you, folks.
Yeah, it's been good fun, and good night, everyone.
Good night.